Hello and welcome back to Reigniting 30s, the podcast for people in their 30s who are currently uninspired, wanting more out of life, feel undervalued maybe, and generally wanting something more. This is episode number 2. We're going to deep dive into parenting. And this is probably a massive, massive subject for people in their 30s, maybe late 20s, 30s, maybe even early 40s, where people decide to start a family effectively. And it's a really, really special thing, starting a family. I am so grateful to have 2 young children. I've got an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. I am absolutely blessed with who they are, who they're becoming, and being part of their life. But let's put it simply, it's not easy. And in fact, it's actually really quite challenging being a parent. Put it this way, when your child is born, you get loads of great advice and support in the hospital. If you have it in a hospital, if you have it elsewhere, I'm sure you have a midwife or a consultant or someone there with you to assist you. They're there for that period of time. And I remember when my 8-year-old was born, we left on the same day that she was born. We were very lucky in that sense. And I remember walking out of the hospital with her in a car seat, walking away going, okay, I came in as an adult as such, and now I'm leaving with a child. Get back home, and I put her down and just picked her up and thought, well, what now? Like, what do I do? I didn't really have a clue, and you kind of just have to get on with it. People throw in their support, they throw in some guidance, but you're kind of sitting there going, I've got a child. Now, if you compare parenting to like a real world job, you would probably, the amount of responsibility that you've got, the hours you work, the things that you have to do, the knowledge that you need to have, you would probably need 2 degrees, a master's, maybe 20 years experience, and probably on about 150 plus K a year to cover that job. I kid you not, it is a high level executive job. And how do you become a parent? Well, I'm not going to go deep dive into actually how you become a parent, but anyone effectively can become a parent. And even if it's not the conventional way as such, even people who are looking to adopt someone, the process they've got to go to make sure that they meet the qualifying criteria to adopt is massive. It's a real challenge. So parenting is hard. Let's put that simply. Parenting is hard. Now, I'm going to talk from a dad's perspective, especially being a dad. I've never been a mum, believe it or not. I don't intend to be a mum either. So I can't really give that side of the approach. However, being a dad, before you become a dad, there's 2 of you in a relationship, quite possibly. And it was for me. I was in a happy relationship at the time, and there was 2 of us. We were level part, we treated each other well, we do things together, all sorts. Great life. Have a child, all of a sudden the priorities change. Child becomes number 1, mum becomes number 2, dad, you're bottom of the list. Now, people may say otherwise, but this is how it felt to me. And I'm sure a lot of dads are going to be in a similar situation where you feel, do you know what? I'm actually stuck in this as being the bottom rung of the ladder. And it's tough. It is a tough place to be because it's very different. I'm sure growing up, you've never been the bottom rung of the ladder. It's it's just a new sort of place to be. So it is really hard. Other challenging points, parenting responsibilities and work. Obviously, at the moment, dads normally get 2 weeks paternity leave if they're lucky, sometimes even less. So 2 weeks of spending time with this newborn baby, and then all of a sudden you're back to work and expected to work at the levels that you were before. Not forgetting that you're having sleepless nights, or you come in from a long day at work and then all of a sudden you've got a baby thrust in your face. And yes, you want to see your child, don't get me wrong, but you also need that rest and downtime as well. So it does get extremely, extremely challenging. Again, I go back, like last week, we talked about the emergency services and how I worked there. I was working shift work. So I worked 2 days, 2 nights, 4 days off. Sounds great, but 2 day shifts were long, long days. Coming to night shifts, and I wanted to have a rest during the day, so then I'm ready for my night shift. I could be up all night at an incident or something. But when you're got a newborn baby, that's not possible. You kind of got to fit your sleep and rest around their pattern. And again, I might have a restless night. I come back, I want to rest, but obviously my wife had been up all night with this baby, so we're both absolutely knackered, and it had a massive, massive toll on me. Massive, massive effect. I do a whole talk on postnatal depression in men. Postnatal depression in general, but especially in men, as I experience it as a man. It's a huge topic, and I'll probably go into it on a different episode. I'll touch on points here, but it was the second child that I had was a real challenging time for me. But let's go back into parenting. So we've talked obviously about how paternity leave, 2 weeks, really not enough in my opinion. I know it's difficult to just say give them more, because it's not quite like that, but it's a tough time. It's really tough to adapt what you do just to fit a whole new life in, because everything changes. You're not having the old life, and put it simply, you're never going to have that old life again. And I think this is only something that people who have gone through having a child can really relate to, because it's that understanding of what it's like to have a child. Yes, it's amazing. I could probably try and explain to you the love that I've got for my children, but if you haven't got children, you'll never understand it. Literally, you'll never understand it. The second thing, saying goodbye to your old life, you'll never understand that if you haven't had a child. Generally, you'll never get that life back again. You've got to adapt and have this new life. So, and I talked about last week about wanting to make a change. You've got to say goodbye to the old you to allow the new you in. This way, you don't have a choice. You simply don't have a choice. Well, you had a choice 9 months earlier. Let's put it that way. You did have a choice. But when that baby is born, and for most people, it's not a chosen date, it just happens. But when that baby's born, that's immediately your life is changing, and it's very different. Holidays are never going to be the same. Your life at home is never going to be the same. Work's going to be different. Don't get me wrong, you'll bring on some new experiences, you'll have a new sort of responsibility in your life. There's a lot of positives to becoming a parent as well. But it is a big shock. It is a big change, and it does make you feel, I'm not going to say like disappointed at all, because I've never been disappointed with having this new life, but it was certainly a challenge, and there were some things I didn't particularly like and some things I did particularly like. When the second came along, I know that was very, very challenging. I actually found it harder with the second being born than the first. When the first was born, I was like a duck to water. I've used that saying quite a lot these days, but I just took it on really, really well. I really enjoyed it. I felt good. I was, I don't know, I was just really, it's just natural to me. It felt natural. Second one came along, completely different story. It didn't feel natural at all. And actually, you know what I said about going into postnatal depression in another episode, and I'm really going to touch on it here, but I really struggled after my second was born. Didn't realise at the time. I wanted to hide it. I felt something wasn't quite right. And like, one of the things I really noticed was when people say to you, "Oh, massive congratulations, you must be so excited." like to have a second. I was just like, no, like I just don't feel like that. They said, oh, you must be so in love. It must be so good. You must feel so happy and you must be content, etc. And I was like, but I'm really not. I felt guilty for thinking it. I didn't tell anyone because I was really guilty about it. I was like, I don't feel happy. I don't feel content. I don't feel, really excited. I'm actually really sort of anxious. I was scared. I was worried. I was, concerned, etc. And again, things only got worse because I was trying to hide it. And it's quite common for dads to do this because historically, dads have always been that one where hide emotions, keep calm, like on the surface, like a swan, on the surface, nice, calm, and underneath it's flapping away. Like, you might be thinking, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But actually, on top, you're just like, no, everything's cool, everything's chilled. I know exactly what I'm doing. That's what it's supposed to be like. And when you're inside and you're going, oh my goodness, I cannot cope. And it got to a stage where I didn't actually want to be around home. I was doing everything I possibly can. If I weren't working, I was finding extra work to do. I blamed the financial situation on that. Obviously, my wife on maternity leave, she was getting just enough in to cover the bills. Probably not enough. I was then having to put more in. I was then like, well, I've had a massive drop in money. I need to make that up somewhere else. So yeah, it was tough. It was a tough time for all of us. And the more I worked, it was just an excuse to be away from home, effectively, which isn't easy. And it's one of the first signs to tell that there's something not quite right. That's it's quite important to know that if you're a mum and your other half is just constantly working, all of a sudden finding loads of overtime or started a second job or is then just not even doing overtime but just working later or starting earlier or not being around, that could be a warning sign for effectively postnatal depression or something along those lines. And just for your information, I'll put a disclaimer in here. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not speaking here to give any sort of diagnosis, any sort of advice, anything like that at all. Before anyone can get into me that way, there is no sort of advice here. I literally have gone through it myself, and I'm just speaking from my own experience. That's as simple as that. Of course, there are places I can signpost you to. So if you want to reach out and there's you want to have a chat, and there's places I can signpost you to say, look, these organisations will help you, but I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, mental health nurse, whatever it is. So please, anything I do, don't take it as the golden. But yeah, if it does help you and you want to reach out and find a place to go, then please do. So when I was struggling, I was just away. I was just completely away. Wasn't really there. And when I was there, if my wife wanted to go out or she wanted to go do something or just leave me with our son, I was absolutely fine with my daughter. She was a little bit older. I was not going to say completely look after herself because she was 5 at the time, bless her. But she's there and she knows what's going on. She can do bits here and there. But when I was looking after my son, oh my goodness, like he didn't take to the bottle very well. He didn't really like the bottle. Obviously, he was a bit of a boob man. So when it came to feeding, it was really quite challenging. And as for both of us trying to feed him with a bottle, like he didn't really want to take that bottle. But obviously, as a dad, I've got no other option. If the other half is out, what do you do? If they're not taking the bottle and they're hungry, let's put it as hangry, like they want food, they're desperate for food, they're angry about it, they're screaming at you going, give me food, and you're like, yeah, but I want to give you food, but you're refusing to take a bottle. What do you want me to do? Like, and it got to that stage where I was like, I genuinely I don't know what to do, and it was making me angry inside. I was just like fuming because I couldn't help. And if you ever felt that as a dad, like like you see it sometimes when your child gets hurt or something, you feel so guilty because all you want to do is help them. But if you can't help them, it just hurts on the inside. Honestly, it's just it's so painful. Um, so yeah, it was quite a tough time in that sense. Um, I yeah, I did really struggle. I got to a point where I was calling him all names under the sun. I was swearing at him. He was never in danger. He was never at risk, never at harm. There was no sort of physical anger at all, but it was just on the inside. But every time I got angry and just called him a rude word or something, the the guilt that you have afterwards, it makes you feel so sad because you've just sworn at a baby. Like, who does that? Not me. Like, I never grew up swearing at kids. I don't ever swear at kids. And there was just this new me coming out, which I didn't like. I hated. I wanted to get rid of it, but I just didn't know how. I couldn't control it. And that's how it felt. And I kid you not, there was times where I got extremely upset because I've sworn at my child, my little baby. Obviously, my daughter was witness to this. Again, being 5, she wouldn't necessarily know what's going on, but she's just like, "Daddy's upset because of Archie," like, and so it was really tough. And I love my son to bits. I love both my kids to bits. They are absolute blessing, but that time was really tough, and I knew it was my fault, not anyone else's, and I needed to sort it. But I didn't want to sort it. I didn't want to go and admit that I needed help. I just wanted to bottle it up and hoped it went away. And dads, if you are doing this, if you are bottling up that whatever you perceive it to be, whether it be anger, whether it be sadness, whether it be appeared signs of weakness, whatever you feel it to be, please do not bottle it up. Speak to someone. And I tried to speak to my wife about it. And because I was busy doing other things, it was my escape. Her answer was, just be less busy. Stop doing some of the things that you're doing. And in my head, that wasn't an answer. Like, I couldn't just stop doing what I was doing. I was doing things to earn money for us to survive. I was doing things to try and give us a better future. And it's really difficult when someone tells you to stop doing something that is going to give you a better future. It's really hard to take. So I never talked to her about it. I just hid it. I just turned away and hid it. And again, probably the wrong thing to do, but I needed support and I didn't get support. So if your mum listened to this, or someone around a dad, or it may even be another mum who's suffering this. But if you're around someone and they're just not appearing right, things have changed and they're clearly not right, or that you suspect something, or they're doing loads of different things, or not being around, or whatever, then speak to them, have a chat to them, ask them. And the best thing to do, the best way to ask someone when you see them, hey, how are you? Now, that first how are you is a greeting. No one will ever tell you exactly how they feel on that first how are you. Okay? So when you go, hey, how are you? They will always come back, yeah, I'm good, thanks, or I'm not too bad. That's quite common because it's double negative, really weird. Don't know why people do it, but yeah, how are you? I'm good, thanks. How are you? Yeah, great, thank you. Like, and that's that. And then you start your conversation. Now, if you really want to know how someone is, pause and then look at them and go, no, actually, how are you? Because you're now actually interested in actually how they feel. You've given them the opportunity to open up about how they're feeling. And I think that is so, so important. If you can take anything away from this podcast, it is that one little thing. Please, if you care about someone, if someone doesn't seem right, etc., ask them for a second time. Actually, how are you? And just be quiet. Let them open up. They do not want advice. They do not want someone to talk to them. They do not want someone to try and be a therapist or a counselor or anything like that. Just listen. And listen with intent. Look at them in the eye. Listen to what they got to say. Nod. So, yes, I understand. Or, and ask them questions. If you don't understand, ask them questions about what they're going through. I really recommend people going on mental health first aiders course, 2-day course I went on. Really great for understanding what to say and what not to say. It's a perfect way to be able to help engage conversation with someone who is potentially going through some sort of crisis at this moment in time. So really recommend that. There's no plugs here. I am not endorsed by anyone who runs mental health first aiders courses. So no affiliate links, etc. You just have to search them up yourself. But I just think having that conversation is really, really key. And such a great way to help someone offload. Because when I offloaded the struggles that I was going through, I genuinely felt like there was a weight lifted off my shoulders. And this was one of my friends, met up with her, and she just turned around and was like, "How are you?" Blah, 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 blah. No, actually, Rich, like, how are you? I just let loose, just literally just said how I felt. And she was like, I could tell, it's completely normal, etc., etc. But all I needed to do was just offload, let it all out, just tell someone. And I honestly, I think I put it as I wrote a book on this actually. This is something I will put in the link in the description bit. But the link to my book, you can go and find it. It's on Amazon. Don't think it's that expensive. I don't know what it is. I don't really care, if I'm going to be honest. I've never looked at how many sales I've made or anything. I've literally wrote a book to help one person who might be going through what I went through, and just little bits of support and stuff. So if you want to have a look, it's called Life Behind the Mask. It's on Amazon, and I talk about this in great depth. But the biggest thing for me is that I could offload. I took that weight off my shoulders and just let it go. And it allowed me to then talk. And actually, after I spoke to that first person, I thought, actually, you know what? This isn't that bad. I can talk to more people. And I just started talking to other people. Someone at work recommended me to a charity who could help me. I went to them. They gave me some support. Again, it was linked through my job as well. So being a firefighter, obviously I was witnessing different traumas and stuff at work. So needed someone who could understand that. Hence why going through the firefighters charity, because the different traumas that I was experiencing are played a part in that sort of in the struggles that I was having. But as I've always said, it's just temporary. Having sort of mental health challenges, I'm not going to say issues, I'm just going to use it as challenges, because they aren't really issues. They're not long-term things. They are very short-term. But it's like breaking a leg. You break a leg, that's not you done for life. That's just okay, that's an unfortunate. It's going to be a period of time of recovery, etc. So you go to the doctors or whatever, go and get it sorted, get it straightened, put it in a cast. You're in a cast for a period of time. That's you getting support, mental health wise. That's you getting that support and help. And then you go into a stage of recovery. So once you finish that support and help, they give you tools and you go through your own recovery. And 9 times out of 10, you'll come out stronger than you were before. That's exactly what happened to me. I am so much stronger. I'm so much better. I can talk to people about things. I'm very open. I like to talk to people about these sorts of things because it's really good to not only spread awareness, but also give people the belief that actually what they're going through is normal. So that's one of the things there. But it is a really I really recommend speaking to someone. Really recommend speaking to someone if you're going through some sort of struggle. It don't have to be parenting specifically. It could be other things. And my struggles were a mixture of other things all clumped together. And that saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. That was literally it. Archie being born was the straw that broke the camel's back. I actually put it in my book as the imagine someone's, when you're into a flat and they've got all those pigeonholes where all people's posts go. It's like the post he walked in. Instead of putting it in the right place, just chucked it on the floor. And just over time, they just keep chucking it on the floor. All of a sudden, there's this massive build-up of post. You open up the door, you chuck that last parcel in, and it just flows over the top. And it just all comes out. That's exactly what it felt like for me when Archie was born. It was just a build-up of lots of little things. And when he was born, it was just that thing that opened up the door, and that was it. So it is very, very normal. It is very, very normal. But yeah, parenting in general. So I've talked massively about the struggles there. So if you are going through struggles, it is very, very normal. Do not panic. Do not fear. Definitely do talk to someone. Go and get that support and help. And, try and keep smiling where you can. And I go back to stand-up, like I said last week. Stand-up comedy was amazing for me because I just needed some sort of happiness. I wanted to smile. I wanted to be happy. And comedy gave me that. I went and did a course. I signed up for it online. It was amazing. I learned loads of different jokes. I started telling my own jokes. That was quite interesting. But it doesn't have to be stand up for you. Do whatever that makes you smile. Do whatever that makes you laugh. You've got to find something that lifts you up, makes you feel good, and just, try and be happy as much as you possibly can. Try and be happy. So, obviously, tiredness is a big factor. If you're a new parent right now, you've got to get into a routine. If you're a single parent, find some support network around you, whether it be parents, friends, or even if you're paying for a nanny, for example. Get some sort of support because you're going to need it. It is a tough gig being a parent, especially with a newborn. Get that support around you if you can, both mental support and actually physically in person, because you do need it. What else? Yeah, sleep. Try and sleep where you can. And I know it's difficult because you've got to fit it around that child, but sacrifice everything else. One of the best bits of advice actually I was given as a new parent is when people want to come around and see your new baby. I get that. People want to come around and see it. But if you're not feeling up to it, if you're feeling tired, you want to sleep, whatever, just say no. Just turn them away. Just say, sorry, you're going to have to go now. Or no, you can't come today. I'm feeling tired. I need to sleep. Because you do. To function properly, you do need sleep. Whether that's as a dad trying to function and still run a household or go to work or, all the other things that need to be done. As a mum, obviously even bigger priorities as a mum, you need that sleep. Especially if you're breastfeeding, that's really important. But just giving that love, care and attention to your child, you want to give as much as you can when they're awake and they remember it. So definitely try and get some sleep. Try and eat healthily as well. I know it's so difficult when you've got a newborn strapped to you. They're not their own person. They are constantly with you. If you can put them down, great, but sometimes kids don't like being put down. They just want to cuddle and you've got to do things yourself. Still try and eat as healthy as possible because those nutrients coming into you will help you recover, will help you feel good, and will give you that energy to keep going. As soon as you go into the bad habits as such, which I did for our second because it was easier to go into bad habits. It was easier just to go, there's your there's the microwave meal, or there's your chicken nuggets, because all I do is just shove them in the oven and then pull them out and that's it, or whatever, and then you eat the same. It's really difficult to do. Alcohol, try and lay off it if you can. It's never going to help. I know you want to celebrate. I know you want to drink. I know you will probably feel like you need to drink. You don't. You really, really don't. I went down that line. It's not healthy. It's not. It will just spiral out of control, especially if you're feeling tired and drained and etc. You feel like I just have one, but a couple of months down the line, that one may have turned into four or whatever it might be. It's a dangerous game. Avoid doing it, I would say. Make sure you drink lots of water. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? But do drink lots of water. Stay hydrated. And that's throughout the day, in the evenings, first thing in the morning. Stay hydrated. It will make you feel better. It'll make your body function better. You want your body to function the best it possibly can be. I always imagine your body being like a car, for instance. You need to put fuel in the car. You need to put oil in the car. You need to put all these different things in the car to make sure that you're feeling the best that you could possibly be. So I think it's important to do that. So yeah, make sure that you are fueling as much as you possibly can. Just look after that mental health side of things as well. As I said, I've mentioned a lot of it already. Just, talk to people, seek help, seek advice, and just offload where you need to. That's probably the best advice that I can give in that regards. So looking after yourself is vitally important to then look after someone else. If you've been on an aeroplane before, you would have heard this, and I think it's quite important. And I learned this, I heard this many a time, but when they say there's a drop in oxygen levels on the plane and the gas masks will be released, gas masks or oxygen masks or whatever they are, get released. The thing that they always say, make sure you put yours on first before trying to help others. Okay? In the emergency services, we talk about this all the time. We talk about our safety. Make sure that we're safe first before we go and try and help someone else. Yes, we risk our lives, but we make sure we look after ourselves so we don't take unnecessary risks. We make sure it's a safe space for us to work in before we go and do that work. And it's the same for you as a parent. Make sure you look after yourself first, so then you can look after your child. In theory, your child doesn't come first, it comes second after you. Because if you cannot help yourself, you cannot help your child. It's as simple as that. So make sure you look after yourself so then you can really look after them. I think that's vitally, vitally important. Okay, so what else parenting-wise? Does it get easier? Yes. But it gets easier in the sense of what you've dealt with then. You just have other challenges later on. Yeah, I mean, obviously, early days, you're carrying them around. They are literally attached to you. You can't put them down without having any peace or whatever. But later on, you've got other challenges that you have to deal with. Schooling challenges is interesting. Again, I've got a 3 and an 8-year-old. I can't talk about secondary school, but I can talk primary school. It is a challenge trying to do the school runs, trying to fit work around it. Trying to get to the gym, trying to look after yourself. Again, very tough. I know even this morning, trying to get the kids to school, doing packed lunches, thinking, well, what do I give a kid for a packed lunch? I've got to make sandwiches. I've got to make them breakfast. I've got to get them dressed. I've got to get them ready to go to school. And then I've got to get them out of the door at a certain time and walk them to school, make sure they get there all right and drop them off. And then I can have my break, come back and have my breakfast and all that kind of stuff. But I know that's tough. It's just a different tough to what it was earlier on in their life. I'm sure later on down the line, there's less of doing that part, but there's more than they want to go out with their friends. And you've got to be that person, whether you judge whether they go out or not, or they want a mobile phone, or they want, go out drinking like earlier than the age of 18, or I don't know. There could be so many different things. Money challenges. I know people, as they get into their teenage years, the money jumps up. Get towards 17 and you're thinking about buying cars and stuff, and you think, my goodness, like, that's expensive. Like, so there's other challenges. There's always challenges you go through. It's like playing a computer game. You complete one level, you just got a different level to complete next. You complete that level, then you go on to the next one. It is simply like that. You just don't go backwards. You can't just press the restart button and go, I'm going to go back to the start because it was easier back then. You don't have that option. It just gets harder. But I'm sure each level will feel hard. You've just got to pass that level to get on to the next one. What else can I tell you from a parenting perspective that is quite valuable to know? I think the message of the story is, and this is quite important, but it is hard. It's a hard phase of your life. You can't go backwards. You can't go, actually, this ain't for me. It's not like taking a new job, thinking it's everything amazing, and you go, actually, this job isn't for me. I'm going to quit and go back to my old job. There isn't that option. Once you've got kids, you've got kids. if you haven't got kids yet, think wisely. If you haven't got kids, I'm not sure you've listened to 35 minutes of this podcast, but if you haven't got kids and you are still listening, think wisely before having kids. Think wisely who you're having kids with as well, because that's vitally important. If you have kids with the wrong person, it makes it very challenging. But I hope that kind of clarifies quite a bit about parenting. I know it's kind of like a whistle stop tour. How can you talk about, well, especially my 8 years of experience of parenting in 35, 40 minutes, but it's, along with the challenges, it is a blessing. Just remember that it is a very, very special thing having kids. And even those times, let's put it simply, where you don't want them. Let's put it simply, where you are at the end of your tether, as they call it, with your kids. Just remember, it's an absolute blessing to have them. There are some people who are desperate to have kids and will never have kids. There are people who have been trying for kids for a long time and haven't been so lucky. People who have lost children, etc. Like, please just be grateful. You have got something special in your life that is yours. Look after that little human being. Give them the best possible life that you can possibly give them. Because it is unbelievably special. Remember that. But if you do need help, do reach out, speak to people, get that support, and make sure that you look after number one first, before trying to look after number two. So I know that's a quick whistle stop tour, but I hope you've taken value from this. Please subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify. Please follow. Please like and share it if you can. Give it a 5-star review. Anything you can do to help boost this, because it does really help me to share more information, reach a wider audience. And every time you do something like share, like, subscribe, follow, 5-star review, etc., depending on which platform you're on, it does boost it to someone else who may really, really need this right now. So think of it as you potentially saving a life by doing that. I know that seems extreme, but it could be that situation. It could be that situation. So if you if you can do any of that, that'd be really, really useful. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time for listening, and I look forward to chatting with you on the next episode. Thank you very much.